My name is David Archer. I'm the Head of Programme Development with ActionAid, and I'm a board member of the Global Campaign for Education and also a board member of the Global Partnership for Education. One of the things I'm particularly passionate about at the moment is that we need to defend public education against aggressive processes of privatisation and commercialisation or liberalisation. We've seen some companies, for example Pearson, which is the largest education company in the world, aggressively promote low-cost private schools and low to middle-cost private schools. In many cases they are really exploiting the aspirations of parents. When one does serious research about the impact of these schools, they don't improve learning outcomes. They're not actually contributing to better quality education, but they exploit the aspirations of parents and they take money from those parents. And they charge fees and often, of course, the poorest children are excluded, those who can't afford to pay. But particularly problematic is that it starts to undermine public education. It takes the lower middle class and the aspirational parents out of the public education system, reduces therefore demands for a more accountable, responsive and effective public education system. Pearson recently I think purchased a network of private schools in Brazil, paying about $500 million to buy this chain of private schools. They've done the same in India and the same in South Africa. They are trying to build this network of private schools that will take the lower and lower middle class parents to get their kids to go to these schools, and it actively damages public education. One of the particular concerns is that Pearson also are responsible for large-scale testing and large-scale production of textbooks. So what happens is they are producing the textbooks, they're defining the exams, and they're running the schools. And so their schools start to be focused on helping children to get through these standardized tests so that they can perform better relative to other schools, and you end up with a model of education which is purely based on standardized testing. And the more standardized the tests and the indicators and the textbooks, the larger their profits, because they can do it on a larger scale. For me, we need to stand in a very united way against Pearson and similar companies. We need to challenge the spread of private schools wherever it's happening, and we need to start to defend public education as much as we possibly can. Now, we have been doing that for a very long time, making the case for greater public investment in education. One of the key challenges is where can we seriously expand financing for public education so we can remove the demand for private schools. And I think one of the big opportunities we see in ActionAid, and increasingly with the Global Campaign for Education, is to do work on tax justice, to make sure that the biggest multinational companies who are extracting big profits from low and middle income countries are paying a fair rate of tax on the profits that they make, and that fair tax is invested in education. In Brazil there's some very good examples of tax on oil, I believe. I think that there are opportunities to look more comprehensively to make sure the government is not giving tax incentives to companies to invest, which mean that companies are not paying revenue back into government for public services. All these companies depend on a decent education system, a health system, and yet they don't want to pay for it. So we need to make sure that they do pay for it. We need to challenge aggressive tax avoidance, challenge these companies that are exporting their profits to tax havens. There is a potential to raise billions of dollars of revenue for education if we have better tax justice in every country. It's going to help if we have international coordination and we strengthen a United Nations intergovernmental tax body. As education campaigners, we need to stand together with other sectors, with health campaigners to defend public services, and with tax justice campaigners to make the case for a fair tax system, a progressive tax system, with the revenue then progressively spent on decent public services for all.